If you lie, your nose grows bigger. That's a lie told to not lie. Mom, that means you've lied a lot. Look at how big your nose is. The core value of being honest and not lying is something I've been told for as long as I can remember. Either it was directly or through quotes or stories like Pinocchio. And this has gotten me thinking on why not to lie, and recently have I noticed the huge impact of lying in my life and in the lives of the people around me. And so this is why I decided to make this video. Being truthful and not lying is something that seems so simple, but you can actually write a whole book on it. There's actually a whole book called Lying by Sam Harris. And I've not read the book, but then I've read the summaries of the book and I've seen some pretty interesting things in the book summary. Now, of course, I try to be honest and I don't want to lie, but then I can admit, like most of us, for various different reasons, maybe to escape some trouble, or sometimes to deceive or confuse people, and sometimes for the complete opposite intention, which is to not hurt the feelings of others, like that moment when someone asks you something like how does their dress look, and you honestly don't think their dress looks very nice, but just not to hurt their feelings, you say it looks good. And sometimes, as harmless as it sounds, I've lied to myself a lot. I've at times lied to myself to sort of comfort myself by giving excuses. And I've noticed when I'm sad, I lie to myself or I exaggerate the situation I'm in to worse than it is. And that gets me even more sad, but I still do it anyway for some reason. And even people like Dostoevsky have said things against lying to yourself, like, above all, don't lie to yourself. And I actually think that's true because when you lie to yourself, you're creating a false reality. You're warping yourself around a false reality, which I think creates more problems. And you and uh, and you sometimes don't find the true problem because you're creating these lies and you can't really see what the issue is. And you also tend to take yourself less seriously at times. I also think if you're lying to yourself and you actually think you're telling the truth to others, you might actually be lying if lying to yourself becomes a habit. And yeah, I think also lying to yourself affects your development and accountability because if you're lying to yourself, how will you be accountable for things in your own mind? And those are basically the reasons on why I think we shouldn't lie to ourselves. But why shouldn't we lie to other people? Why should we face the truth even when it can be harsh? I think this is so it builds a little bit of courage within each one of us. And I've heard of this example where they talk about it's more noble to honestly say you failed Yale than to say you went to Yale and passed it even though you failed at it. It's more noble to tell the truth all the time. Being truthful is a noble act, but even more so than that, I think if you lie a lot, it affects the worth of what you have to say. It makes you less trustworthy, I mean, of course. And also it gets easy to spot lies when you tell like two, three of them in a sentence. The average person can tell if you're lying or not. Compassionate lying can be kind or things like that. I feel sometimes you need to be able to tell the truth even when it hurts, because that's when it can have the most amount of positive impact. Like, just an example, you tell someone they have bad breath or something, and it might not be a very nice thing to say, but then they'll realize it now and maybe fix it. So, in the long run, years later they won't continue to do this. And sometimes when someone is doing something wrong or you think is wrong, and you aren't stopping them because it might hurt their feelings, might actually be bad in the long run. You need to be ready to tell someone when they're doing something wrong or getting into the wrong things. And that isn't an excuse for you to be a meanie and go around telling mean things. And if you're scared of hurting the other person's feelings, I guess you can tell the truth in a compassionate way to show that you don't mean it offensively. You're just being truthful on how you feel. And so when you genuinely say positive things, it will have more meaning and value because you honestly mean it. And so honesty is definitely one of the best policies, and you should follow it. Bye.